The Rams could have a hidden gem that is ready to break out this upcoming season. We are also going to talk about the Jalen Ramsey trade rumors as they continue to heat up. We'll talk about the latest update, all on today's episode of the Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Giron. Remember, if you guys are not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor. Press that subscribe button now, as roughly 73.1% of you guys are watching the videos, but you're still not subscribed to the channel. So do me a favor, press that subscribe button so you don't miss any daily Rams content here at the Rams Digest. First things first, I do want to get into this first story here. We are talking about the breakout that is loading currently, a secret player that could currently be ready to break out onto the scene this next upcoming season and could be in a perfect position to do so. Someone we've talked about here on the channel, but not really mentioned it in this capacity, as I'm already giving you guys some of the guesses for the trivia of the day. But here we go. We're talking about the Rams possessing one of the biggest breakout candidates for 2025 as Los Angeles Rams wide receiver Tutu Atwell enters a contract season. He also sits atop these rankings of breakout players to watch. This comes to us from Dominic Minchella, but this is also coming to us from Sports Illustrated in general. CBS as well has some things to say about it. We'll talk details about what they are saying about Tutu, but you know, we've discussed this already, right? A lot of people wanted the Rams to potentially draft the receiver in this year's draft, early in this year's draft, right? A lot of fans were saying maybe just draft the receiver or go ahead and pick up a receiver via free agency on top of Devontae Adams. Maybe you add the Keenan Allen of the world, or Amari Cooper we talked about last episode, right? So like certain names that maybe are being thrown out there that the Rams need to address. We talked about someone saying the Rams' biggest need is their receiver 3. I never really understood that argument, but that has kind of been a weird conversation that's been having where it's like we're acting like the Rams didn't just pay Tutu Atwell $10 million, but also acting like Tutu Atwell isn't a number 3 receiver or a good receiver 3 option. That has kind of not really been the case, right? We'll talk about details about his stats in a second and what I think about Tutu at the receiver 3 position. But here, let's break down this article for a second. Tutu Atwell entering his contract season after spending the first 3 years with the franchise. The departure of Kupp should elevate Atwell into a bigger role, but this is a season where it's time to prove himself. Either he steps up and shines in Los Angeles, or he tests the waters of pro free agency come next offseason. Atwell has the skills to become a threat in the Rams offense, so much so that according to CBS Sports Chris Trapasso, ranking of the top 5 players of entering a contract season looking to break out, Atwell sits at the top of these rankings. Here's a quick little quote from Trapasso from his article. He says, after being surprisingly selected by the Rams at 57 overall in the 2021 draft, which immediately was followed by an injury-plagued rookie season, the tiny speedster from Louisville has quietly improved his efficiency as a receiver the past 2 seasons. That's 100% true, right? We've been discussing that with Tutu Atwell recently in the last couple of seasons, especially once the Rams re-signed him for $10 million. We try to ask ourselves, why did they spend so much money on him? Why did they want to bring him back for one more season? Ultimately, it's because they are seeing that steady improvement and probably are really impressed and feel they could have used him in a better capacity. We talked about quotes from Sean McVay and Snead saying they want to see him on the field a little bit more to prove that he can be a better player than even Sean McVay said he blames himself for not getting him on the field as much as he wanted to. So kind of very interesting points there. A lot of kind of investment in Tutu Atwell, but yet as fans or as Ramley, as a community, right, we haven't really been discussing Tutu as that great number 3 receiver option. Even when I talk about receiver 3, before I read this quote here, a lot of people even in the comments say, oh, what about Jordan Whittington, right? They don't really give that credit to Tutu Atwell. Now, why is that? CBS Sports Chris Trapasso says this about Tutu. That'll leave Atwell as a beneficiary of minimal over-the-top safety help, which is bad news for defenses giving his 4.39 speed. In his final year of his rookie deal, Atwell will move into more of a prominent role in the Rams' 11 personnel-heavy attack and continue his upward trajectory as a niche asset who will perfectly complement Los Angeles' uber-efficient superstar receivers not known for their pure speed. Obviously, Chris Trapasso here talking about, Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams being really good route runners, not necessarily being just crazy burnout speed like Tutu kind of is known for, right? And ultimately, I kind of agree with this, right? Again, we kind of been talking about maybe getting a different receiver 3 option, Jordan Whittington stepping in the room as well. But when Tutu Atwell is there, he is clearly on the roster for a reason. We talked about this a couple weeks ago as well with what Sean McVay had to say about him. I think the Rams want to see him improve this year upon some pretty solid numbers that we've been seeing him already improve on early in his NFL career. Last year, 17 games played, all 17, 62 targets, 42 receptions, really solid numbers there. No receiving touchdowns, but he did receive 569 receiving yards, 29 first downs in the year, 13.4 yards per reception. We're talking about 34 yards per game. Not really the best there, but overall, solid numbers, decent in the run game as well. When you throw him out there, longest rush, 50 yards. So ultimately, Tutu Atwell, it's in his hands to take over the receiver 3 position. If he really wants to remain a Ram for longer than just this one season he has upcoming, he can really prove it this year, being potentially the number 3 option in this already pretty potent Rams offense. Let me know how you guys feel about Tutu in the comments down below. Do you guys think he can step up and be that great receiver 3, or do we have to maybe look elsewhere in the future of the receiver room for the Rams? Moving on from that, Jalen Ramsey, quick little update here. Nothing really too major, but did want to discuss the Rams still being in that mix of the potential Jalen Ramsey trade. I will say, I almost said J.D. McDaniels. Coach McDaniel over there in Miami has said that they're not really urgent on this move. They don't really want to move Jalen Ramsey just because just to move him, right? There's obviously they want to wait for a really good package, so that's obviously still on the top of the table there, top of the conversation. We're talking about Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey trade rumors: Eagles, Rams among best fits. Should Dolphins move Pro Bowl defensive back? So, still kind of the iffiness of whether or not he will be traded or will be traded soon. I don't think Miami is really in a rush to trade him again, so they're going to look for that best package. Will the Rams provide that? They have already come out and said they kind of seem to be kind of interested in the mix on this. Clearly one of the top teams to potentially trade for him. The Cardinals as well being one of those teams. So like the Cardinals, the Rams need a cornerback, and Ramsey checks every box for a franchise that's already known talent. His talent and level and impact. Los Angeles traded for Ramsey in 2019. 2 years later, he played an integral role on the 2021 squad that won the Super Bowl. The Dolphins acquired him in 2023 from the Rams in a trade that was financially motivated. Rams coach Sean McVay said talks are ongoing on the trade front. So they're still out there openly saying conversations are being had. We will have to wait and see on what's going to happen with Jalen Ramsey. Here is a quote from Sean McVay as well. He says there are a lot of layers when you're talking about a player of his caliber with regards to the contract, the compensation that they would be looking for in exchange for receiving a player of his magnitude. And so those conversations are ongoing, as I'm sure they are with multiple teams, and we'll see. But we're never going to shy away from opportunities to increase competitiveness of our roster or add great players as long as it fits with the framework of everything that an acquisition like that would entail. So obviously Sean McVay giving the really PR answer as he always does, but he's essentially saying, look, if we want to add some more competition to the cornerback room, we'll go ahead and add and bring in a great player like Jalen Ramsey. He's essentially saying in one sentence, hey, you know what? The guys we have are great. We're going to add him in. If we do add him in, he's going to compete with these guys that are on the roster. He doesn't just have a job, right? And so obviously Sean McVay still kind of maintaining that, but also saying, hey, he's a great player, right? We're going to add great players. Cool, we'll add great players if we can, and it all makes sense within a right trade pieces surrounding a Jalen Ramsey financially, trade going out, all that good stuff. So obviously interesting to see that Sean McVay is kind of openly saying they're in talks, having conversations, they're open to it, they want to bring him in, maybe, possibly, are looking into it, but ultimately still have not gotten the phone and maybe made those calls official to kind of make something done. So it's intriguing. It's still kind of up in the air. When you see reports saying that maybe he's traded, that kind of throws me off a little bit, making it sound like Miami doesn't really want to rush to trade him, meaning the Rams would have to kind of wow the Dolphins to get him, and I don't think the Rams really want to do that. They, if anything, want to get Jalen Ramsey for pretty cheap compared to everything else when it comes to his contract and everything. You don't really want to pay him a big financial, have that big financial kind of compensation going out to Jalen Ramsey, as well as big trade assets going out to Miami. You don't really want both of those things happening. So the Rams kind of want to find a way to either get him for cheap on the trade market or pay him less on his contract. We'll have to wait and see which they end up being able to get done. Moving on from that, trivia of the day, my favorite part of the episode, where I ask a trivia question. You give your trivia guesses down below in the comment section. The last episode's trivia of the day that I had was this question here. We had the Rams sat out which NFL season? That was a question we posed. They did sit out for a full season. I don't know why these pictures are kind of swapped around, but the Rams sat out which NFL season? Trivia of the day number 66. We had a couple of you guys guess along at home, but the multiple choice options were, was it A, 1953, B, 1973, C, 1943, or D, 1963? Which one of those years did the Rams completely sit out of the NFL? We had a couple people play along at home. Here were the trivia guesses on the last episode. We had the real Jay Will, some couple, by the way, repeat trivia guesses. Really appreciate you, Jay Will and Floyd. The real Jay Will says, I'll say 1953, complete guess. Floyd says 1963, gives his guess out there as well. The reason why I know it's a guess is because both of you guys got this trivia of the day incorrect. The correct answer for which NFL season the Rams sat out was 1943. The franchise suspended operations and sat out the 1943 season because of a shortage of players during World War II and resumed playing in 1944. Pretty incredible story there. That's why I was saying it's a very historic reason why the Rams sat out of the NFL season. Obviously, World War II being a pretty crazy historic moment in our country's history. So, Roger, Will, Floyd, appreciate you guys for playing along again, as you guys always play along with all the trivia of the days, it seems like, as of late. So I really appreciate you guys continuing your support of me and also the trivia of the day here at the Rams Digest. If you want to shout out just like these two guys just got, go ahead and give your guess down below in the comment section for this upcoming trivia of the day on today's episode. Trivia of the day today is this question here. What LA Rams quarterback was known as the Dutchman? This one should be a pretty easy one for many Rams fans out there. I appreciate all of you guys for being really brushed up on your trivia knowledge. Was it A, Kevin Stabler? Was it Ken Stabler? I don't know why I say Kevin. Ken Stabler. Was it B, Bob Waterfield? Was it C, Fran Tarkenton? Or was it D, Norm Van Brocklin? What LA Rams quarterback was known as the Dutchman? Give your guesses down below in the comment section. Whether you're right or whether you're wrong, we'll give you a shout out on the next episode. Other than that, that's going to do it for me on today's episode of the Rams Digest. Remember, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. That really helps us out, moving the channel, growing the channel even more to what it's already at. That's going to do it for me on today's episode. I'm your host, Joshua Giron, and I am out.